Hello everyone, this is Rampage, and we're back with EDF. Right now it is just me and DK in a call. He'll join the lobby in a moment, and I believe Pearl will be joining us later. But yeah, we're back in the bad timeline. So I'm gonna undeafen.
Time because the aliens keep trying to reset things, but that's okay because we're clever, because we keep going back with them and making some adjustments to their adjustments. Who is going to win? Will humanity, using all of its cheat powers and hacks, win? Or will the aliens finally, from the future, continue to reset things enough times to where they finally go back in time, make changes, and we fail to get back there? Let's find out on Dragon Ball Z.
I think we'll win because we have plot armor. I also think it'd be crazy for the devs to write this like several. At this point, it's like 200 missions because this is just continuing the last one. It'd be crazy to write at least 220 missions and then have everyone lose. Like that'd just be
Well,
a little crazy.
There's been stranger things. Here's a question for you, Rampage. Have you ever seen Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Probably. I've seen a bunch of those, but I don't remember which ones I've seen.
All right. So, do you know specifically what is? So Raiders of the Lost Ark is where he attempts to find the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
If you removed Indiana from that movie, all the events of the movie would have occurred anyway, and the villains would still lose.
Oh.
And the reason for that, I don't know if you know how that movie ends.
I don't.
So the Nazis, in their infinite wisdom, believe that the Ark of the Covenant was real, and that if they opened it, they would gain power from that would cause their armies to become invincible. There is just an interesting catch about that. If you believe the Ark of the Covenant is in fact a real thing, what would make you think opening it would do you good, specifically since you were personally doing very, very, very bad demonetization of that deity's holy people?
Yeah, I don't. That doesn't make much sense.
That's like one of those. So if you think it's real, why would you want to open it?
Yeah. What would you
So
even
the
wanna look
movie,
for it?
for those unfamiliar, the Nazis open the Ark and basically all the Nazis die as the angel of death descends upon them.
That's. Wonder if this
As I said,
stream
like
is
just
gonna.
from a logical point of view, that it just wouldn't work.
Wonder if the stream is gonna get flagged now.
I mean, we were discussing Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's the same thing as if you believed there was, like, Hercules had a sword, right? And you believed that if you wielded it, it would give you supreme power. But if there was also writings that if you didn't have a pure heart, you would turn to dust, would you just assume that all the good things that you heard about it are accurate and none of the bad things? Like, would you just assume that?
What's crazy is I don't even know if there has, like, if there was any written benefit to having it in your possession. I feel like
I believe
I
any
feel like every
army
time
would
someone
do.
held it, it was just a game of hot potato to get rid of it. Like,
It's funny, is that movie also was rated PG, and then you just saw a bunch of Nazis like melting. It's incredibly graphic.
that's quite funny. I'm dead.
I see this.
Yeah, I died to a pillar.
Should ask Nick if he wanted to join us.
Don't forget how many lives are in our hands. There are
I'm going to attempt to get back to you.
we can't fail.
These players just wait and get in there.
I feel like he's gonna, if he did want to, like, if he was available, I feel like he'd be really underleveled.
Probably. It would be like having Kuro here.
The Kuro has more health than I do.
Yeah.
Kuro
he's
is
been grinding.
overleveled. Which is
I
probably
tried not to
good.
do that too much.
The thing is, right, it's like I want all the story points to be revealed to me as we do them through the stream, and then
Yeah.
there's no real point in trying to level building because even if I did play them on higher difficulties, it's like I can't use anything yet.
Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot of purpose, because like even health doesn't really matter very much in this game. Mobility matters way more, at least for Spencer.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe with like aerator, your movement's pretty much the same no matter what you do. With Spencer, if you stop moving, you die. It's like it doesn't matter how much health you have. If you stop moving, you die.
Yeah.
Hello, Jack. How's it going? I know there are no Spencer, but I cannot see them. It makes it much harder to burn.
I just realized how awful my iron bullets are on this map, because like the weight, like you're in that hallway, right?
Yeah.
Just this.
Does it like have do the projectiles like do damage if someone touches them?
Yes.
That's kind of
It has some of the same effects as the big bullet, the normal size bullet. It's just really tiny ones. Uh-oh.
I killed everything but one spider and just disintegrated.
But because it shoots out so many pellets in this close quarters, this is a very, very sad weapon for the enemies to fight against. I'm hoping to get to you soon. I apologize,
You are not speedy.
Well, like my speed is rolling sideways.
Yeah. Very different. They have silver beard spiders. I don't think I've seen those before. I've seen silver spiders, but I don't think silver beard spiders. Are we going up here or down there? Oh my, they're coming here. I see. Ow! Ow! I didn't expect them to spawn there.
If you come to where my mech is, there's a heal thing.
Oh, is it oh, there is silver one.
Truly merciless. They don't plan on letting a single one of us live.
You're a little too far away from the moon.
Yeah, I was grabbing the box.
Running out. We have to go to the surface and search for the ring. The time slip is nothing but a mere coincidence.
I don't know how that counts as in range, but I'll take it. They're all below. Yeah, they're all down. Oh, they're ants. They have gold ants. Not good. Oh wait, the gold ants are really weak for something. Never mind, they're fine. They have like the same. They have less health than the normal. That's odd. Maybe they're not like real gold ants? They're just like reskin silver ants and real gold ants and higher difficulties?
It's possible.
Because there weren't any gold ants in hard and EDF 5. There were only
I mean, we are using 8th generation.
We can finally take a breather.
there's an emote for guy in a platform like this? That's crazy. That has to just be like a YouTube, right? I forgot YouTube had a concept for their own emote. Ah! Oh, fire red man. Ah, fire red man. Ah. Fire drones that archive guys so easily. That are don't die.
They may already be digging a hole from above.
They won't go down that easy.
Oh, I assume we're trying to.
We're trying to get to the ring.
Yeah. So does that mean we're actually still in the Utopia timeline?
Or my mind can take it much.
Well, they made another change. So, like, the Utopia fell. Because they made the Utopia.
So then why don't they just move the ring over? Why do they still move the ring?
Because they're making, I believe it's because they're making logistics.
Monsters are coming down hard.
It's no time to sing hallelujah. It's raining monsters.
Hallelujah, it's raining. Oh my
It's
God.
raining spiders.
Oh, that's not a thing. Well, see, they were referencing a song there.
Were they actually? I didn't notice
Yeah,
that.
it's Hallelujah, it's raining men.
Yeah.
Yeah, they jumped in front of my men.
I just went down to the bottom because I saw a lot of them fall.
Spiders cast extermination and it will be super effective.
Pave the way. How can monsters purify the air? They shouldn't have such a function. Unless they were raised in such an environment. Don't tell me. Those monsters are originally from Earth?
I didn't really figure that out.
This is making it sound like these creatures are purifying the earth because of how poisoned the earth
You'll
is
die if you go out
in the
there.
future.
I'll return safely, I promise.
I gotta say, things ain't looking too bright.
All of my AI finally made it down the hole, and then I went out.
They're watching us. If we peek out, they'll find us.
If you peek, they'll find us. No.
Kraken? Did you say Kraken or Cold? Because I feel like I read Kraken.
I didn't see actually. I'm sorry.
We're going to rescue the corporal. This can never go wrong.
Why would you even think it would go wrong?
Nah, it'd be crazy to even consider that as a possibility.
I don't. So I think because Whisper's not here, I don't need to actually bring my health. I barely found a purpose for using like a single one, and that was to heal you.
I need the What level of my disruption? I need the power dime.
You need the power die.
Yeah. There's actually two things that I want from level 41. I get a new sword at this level if it drops, and power dime, which will replace my weapon. Yep, he said Kraken.
Unleash the Kraken!
I knew I read Kraken.
Arr, matey.
That's a new thing, though. So I guess this is what they changed. They added Krakens. They have the
They
ability to
summon
summon
darkness.
darkness. They also have the ability to be a giant meat sponge. Well, that's... I killed one. They have about 23,000 health, I think? This one started flying.
Oh, I see. They're very upgraded, like, cool.
Yeah. If I can surprise them, they die really easily to disruptors. But otherwise, I guess they fly and their shield work properly. Which is kind of
Thankfully, they cannot defend themselves against 15,000 projectiles. Which is nothing.
wow, that's a... Wait, their terraforming basis is different too. They're not the big sphere. They're whatever those are. They have small Kraken too? What? The rocket launcher. Goodness, what is going on? Oh wow, these do not have very much health. I guess these are like gonna be the like drones of the EDF 9 or 8. What are we?
I think it was 8.
So is this next one gonna be 9?
You know, the one time I don't bring my sniper. Sniper would have actually been very useful.
Must be on your side.
It says the lady rock. I just think disruptor. Ah, I don't have a disruptor. I don't have enough disruptor for all of those. There's quite a few of them.
If it follows the standard policy, we're gonna hide now.
Yeah. There's no way we're fighting all of these.
We're completely surrounded.
Yeah. They look like the small ones look like the ink thing in Mario Kart.
The ink thing.
Yeah,
you mean like squids?
the squid thing. I don't know any.
I know some Mario enemy names. I don't know that one at all. But I will know, at least, they're not Stanley the Talking Fish.
Hmm. This is I mean, I guess I could Bloodstorm, but I'm still gonna bring my disruptors. I think there's enough rain. So the last time we did this mission, it was Banquet of the Water God, I think? And now we're doing wind.
But interesting. I actually had the Proteus that had those lasers, by the way. I just didn't know.
Oh.
The default Proteus now has lasers.
They're all gone.
No. Just hiding. A sound decision.
It's over. I can't see any of you. Now they're just showing off, sending in the big guns. This is the end. We're out of here. But we need to find our allies. They should be alive. Come on. This is impossible. They've got so many arms and legs, and they can use several weapons at once. Us humans got 2 arms and 2 legs. We can't even compete. We have defeated them before. There's a way to fight them.
The way to fight them
Listen
is
up.
everyone just becomes a fencer. Everyone becomes a fencer, then it gets a lot easier because everyone has disruptors. Why? Okay, I'm gonna disruptor. Well, I'm gonna disruptor him because he's red. And I think that means he's gonna be like strong. Nice, good man. Nice, good man. Okay, he had about 20, about 30k health, I think, which isn't too much more than the normal squid does, but I'll go for a green one. I think the different colors might just be different guns, not necessarily different like health bars. But yeah, they have about all the same amount of health. I think the different Krakens have different small guys guarding them. That's what they're telling me. Ow! Okay, green guys are annoying. DK, the last green one's really bad. If you want to finish him. He's being quite annoying.
But give me a second. I'll pop myself up.
A lot of things. Wow, that's a lot. Green guy's very annoying. I think he's going after you now. Trying to kill a lot of the small guys. The big ones are too high.
Alright, green guy is dead. One of the green guys is dead.
Yeah, he was the only. I killed the first green guy. There was only one. Everything is pretty far from me. So, or at least, I guess there's one squid guy who left me.
I'm targeting this guy here.
Yeah. I thought I still had all three. I do not. One of them left me for you.
I feel like Mr. Feed would probably not like to fight this pizza.
Oh my.
So the flying things aren't too dangerous unless I stop moving. The second I
nothing's
stop
very
moving,
dangerous.
then it becomes unfortunate. I feel like we're being chased by 10,000.
I killed a lot of the small things. Goodness, their shields are physical. Ah, that is almost very bad. I've just been dancing with two squid guys for ages. And I just
made the
finally
mistake.
killed one of them.
Like most of my, other than my little shotgun thing, all my weapons are small. I stopped for a second, and that was very, very unfortunate.
Killed the other one. Yeah. So, I think all the big guys are dead now.
I haven't seen anyone big at it.
I hope how they say there's no way for them to know, but it's pretty obvious they just added dragons. I'm taking up boxes now. I have one guy on me. So it's pretty far now. I need boxes. Because I need my blast hole spear to be usable. My blast
What color is the moon?
What?
What color is the moon?
That's green. Kind of
How did they do that?
Why?
Like, how did they make the moon green? Like, what did the aliens do? Because, like, I see they've added a red tint to the sky, but what did they do to make the moon green?
What if it's not the moon and it's the sun instead? And then we're just in like a crazy timeline. Like we're just at a really weird point in time. The sun changed color. I guess that would be. Suns go from like blue, white to blue to orange. I don't know why they would go green. We're on another planet and it's not an actual star. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty weird.
Then we find out the aliens are just like the evolution of all the environmentalists, tired of everyone being jerks.
Tunnel 3.
I'm trying to think if it is in fact going to be a tunnel.
We're underground.
Alright, then I'm bringing my assault there.
And I'm bringing fire. Even though my fire is really bad, it's like level 17, it's still fire. So.
But anyone who gets near the ring.
It is. You know, it's smart on like the asset development part to just reuse everything. Because like we've been on this map before. I guess they've always done that though. Just reusing maps a lot.
Not as bad as Dragon Age 2. In Dragon Age 2, there was only one house map.
And that's impressive.
And every time it was a dungeon, they would just adjust which door was the furthest. And some of the doors they would lock. And that's the only difference.
You can make a good
Every house was identical.
I love to
I'm
eat
sure
fish,
it'll turn out like that.
but it's a luxury good now.
And you went into house dungeons like 33% of the time. And then they
Did
had
they just
one
not have a
game-
budget?
The game had to be done
I'd see monsters here.
very
It would
quickly.
have been trouble if it made it into the city.
I'm just glad we exterminated it before it came to that.
So like
All right, let's move it on up.
certain things were way more fleshed out. Like the systems of the game were fleshed
No matter
out.
how long I live,
Uh,
my love for my wife continues to make me suffer.
but they basically had like 3 dungeons that they kind of recycled for almost the entire game. Yo, it's full aircraft.
Not the underground city. I feel like going underground isn't even like that. I feel like there's no real good place now that I think about it. Because like underground, they tunnel better than we'll ever be able to tunnel. And the surface is theirs. And the water is theirs. So it just seems like there's no good place.
Yeah, originally our hiding places was underground in water because they didn't have a way of getting there, but they fixed that.
Yeah. And now they have Kraken too. So the air is even less safe. Because they wanted to put the Krakens in the sky or something.
You give up? Nope.
Ooh, hell. Yum, 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 yum.
You must have been dreaming. We're the elite of the elite.
I haven't even used my fire.
It's too dangerous. Let's get out of here.
What? No. Roly poly, why are these here?
There are other survivors? I thought we were the only survivors in the area. Attacking the ring? That's nuts.
I'll join the operation, but it's too reckless. There's no way it'll succeed.
I love
Oh,
the,
boy.
like, yeah,
That's
sure,
better, yeah.
I'll join, but it's never gonna work.
I guess they don't have anything better to do.
Yeah, because we'll all die anyway. Might as well try something.
You know, on my screen, you're not flamethrowing those aliens at all.
Oh?
On my screen, you were flamethrowing the wall, so right of them,
There's a queen.
which was like blocking me from advancing.
Come on, time to attack.
Look at through. It's
Go,
it's
aircraft.
mutant queen. The weird ant. Not a normal queen. It's a terrible place to fight it. Ow. Oh, I'm gonna die. Yeah, I think this is a U-boat. I don't think this fight is made for me. Ow! How am I getting hit and you're not? What?
I was dodging really good.
Calm down. They're out of range.
You can do it, DK. Ah. You did it! I did nothing to help. I don't think I did it at all.
I got out of my mech and basically just dumped my stuns on it and the sniper, and then I just got in my little mech and just did the side by sides.
No help is coming. That's not right.
Captain, are you all right? Today is the day, I'm sure of it. We must get to the ring.
The lot of you are too impulsive. Does your life mean nothing to you?
It has to be done.
Then there's nothing else to say. Let's do it.
He's very easily convinced. There's a
He's not
king in here.
convinced, but like he's like, oh, it's got to be done. All right, fine. It's a dumb idea. It just reminds me of like that Rogue One movie where like the robot goes like, Cassian said I had had to come or something like that.
Oh, that works pretty well. You guys died.
Oops.
Wait,
I broke the AI. I will fix
are they not coming?
it. They couldn't get past my map.
Oh.
Cherish them.
They were all trying to move my
I
mech
got
out of the
another
way.
cave. Look for an exit.
Enemies are spawning over here.
See what enemies they are. Oh, they're bomb.
They aren't
Threatening at all. Ow! So wait, they're only dangerous when they die. Before they die, they are not dangerous at all. Only the loose bomb that separated. Oh, big bomb guy. I wouldn't go back. Ow. That hit. Oh, I was gonna go force him to explode. I think you thought his bomb too effectively. That's
Sorry,
so many
that
sprays.
explosion that just occurred almost killed me.
Is there health down there?
A very
There's like a
tiny
ton of
amount.
health up here. So I already went through that.
Oh, okay. You pick up the rest. Try to avoid picking stuff.
I'm sure we definitely wouldn't have needed any of the health I picked up in excess for any reason.
I didn't bring health kits this time. So.
Nah, we'll be fine. Do you have anything? Do you have any big weapons?
You mean massive explosion weapons? No.
Like high single target?
Oh, yes.
Because there's that guy. Added a couple thousand.
Well, the thing with my stun thing, it doesn't matter where I hit him. It's the stun. It does full damage. The sniper and the other weapons I have to like aim those, but the stun doesn't matter.
right here. This is our target. We can resurface from here.
Queen or king? One of those two.
It's a huge horde of monsters. Too many to count.
King.
Open fire.
2.
The tactical advantage from here. This must be the exit.
Just you wait. There'll be monsters galore right above us.
have finally finished my IRL side objectives, so I can fully focus on the game. Ow. I have a lot of lasers on me.
Yeah, okay.
I guess they're not really lasers, but they're close enough to lasers. Oh, I'm gonna die, right? I didn't die. One of the things is dead. I did a... Oh, you're dead? How did you die? What?
I was surrounded on all sides. It spawned spiders on both sides of the tunnel.
Okay, well... Out of all the missions to restart, I don't think that's too bad of one, because... Oh, no, it wasn't at all, because now I have new fire. I don't even know if I'll bring it, though. How much range does it have? That's the question. Ah, yeah, no, not worth it. I'm still gonna...
I guess I will bring heals.
Heal... Really, I don't think heal would do too much. I just needed to not bring fire for this mission. Which is kind of sad, but... Very true.
I think instead of... I think this is one I definitely did want to bring bombers.
That would have been really useful.
I'm getting the things I want, but they're not good yet. Like I have I have the power blade I want now. It's just terrible. It's not upgraded at all.
But anyone who gets near the ring dies. Isn't there some other way?
We can approach the ring
Brought
from
my
underground.
gigacopter. Oh wow! So one of the AIs said they would definitely not come up to the surface with us, and the doctor's like, I know you better than that." And he's like, "What?"
Oh, there's a hole there. That's where they come. I am in their spawn. Why is there's
In the
like
wall.
there's like matting on the floor?
To think I'd see monsters here.
It would have been trouble.
Like you're standing
if it
on
made it into
matting.
the city.
I'm just glad we exterminated it before
Or
it came
maybe
to that.
iron plates.
Yeah.
Right. Let's move it on up.
I assume maybe that's like a storage area because you don't want to damage the rock one.
I mean, maybe it was. It isn't now.
What's with this place? Just in case you didn't know, they're coming from above.
What's happening?
They're coming
there?
from above, according to the scientists.
Yep. He knows that because they've done it before. Ow, ow, ow. Good man. It is kind of funny. He's like, in case you don't know, they're coming from above.
Have you done this?
Like there's a bunch of enemies, right? And there's 2 dangerous. The only real threats are the red ones. Kill one of them. Kill the other red one too. And now I wait at the door. Disappear, door. Give me things to stab, door. You know, this game has like surprisingly good flipping protection. Like, I feel like this game in EDF 5, you don't really clip through things very often.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know if you can do it intentionally. I'm sure there's a way, but...
Let's move. It's too dangerous. Let's get out of here. Monster alert.
Ah. Oh, goodness. Who can fight, please join our operation.
There are other survivors?
They're the only survivors in the area.
Attacking the ring? That's nuts.
I'll join the operation, but it's too reckless. There's no way it'll succeed.
Ah, this is the, you'll have to kill the thing here. I would die if I entered that thing. I don't know how you don't die standing in the hall.
You just have to dodge.
It takes up the entire hallway.
It doesn't. There's holes.
There are no, for me at least.
There are holes. It's very.
Ow! Gonna be honest, I didn't expect you to shoot the wall like that.
I shot the wall after you died.
No. No.
You died, and then my explosion went off.
No.
Yeah. On my screen, you died, and then my explosion occurred.
Yeah, I don't know why that happens so often on y'all's end.
I blew up your
But-
dead body, because I was very like I fired that because you died, like you died, and then I directed it to your dead body.
That's weird because you are the reason I died.
Interesting. Okay.
Like, I was just fine. I was standing still, and then your explosion killed me. Like, I was just sitting there. FPS? Top right. What's my FPS? It's locked to 60?
I think so.
Can I unlock it? Or is this one of those games that has?
This is
like,
where
a bunch of
the
stuff
physics system would break if you did that.
hide?
You can do it, but
But
then
like that's
you
so
will break
lazy.
the physics.
They could easily make it
No,
not.
like that's the limitation of a physics engine.
No, but you can make it not tied to FPS.
The thing is, the physics engine will still work at that 60.
Yeah, but you can
And,
render
people
frames at a
will-
higher rate.
What
for-
will
on a
happen
client.
though is that you have a high chance of actually unsyncing the animation system,
Yeah, but like,
the physics engine. You have a higher chance of breaking the physics engine
yeah, but like games do
and
this
causing nonsense.
all the time.
Bad games do.
No, good games do
Only
that.
only bad games do. That.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Because every game I play, like every game.
Well, most games you play don't have a physics engine. That's the thing.
That's not
Like,
true.
Developers got rid of
I
physics.
play
engine.
Rocket League. Like that's the main game I play. That is just a physics engine
Okay.
with a car and a ball.
No. Okay, so forgive me. We're using different terms for physics engine.
Okay, maybe.
Havoc is a physics engine, right?
Does your life mean nothing to you?
If your game doesn't have Havoc, it probably doesn't have a real physics
Then
engine.
there's nothing else to say.
What do you mean by physics engine?
A physics engine is a high-end, like there is only like 3 physics engines. And if you're not using that, you're not using a physics engine. You're just kind of cheating.
So what does that mean to you?
That physics engine controls everything. All the animations are dynamic and controlled by the physics engine. Most games nowadays no longer tie things to the physics engine so extensively.
Yeah, because you never want to tie anything to frame rate because it breaks
Well, that means
everything.
generally that means most of the animations are no longer tied to the physics engine, which means that
You
it's
can still
you're not
tie them to
you're-
physics objects.
You can, but it's not a physics engine anymore. It's not actually properly being calculated.
It is. It's
basically
just not
it's going back to
calculated
the
in the
older
same
way
way.
of doing things before physics engines existed.
I am so confused.
Well, but you're still calculating it as a physics object.
No,
just
you're not.
doing it
Not anymore.
differently.
you're using some other calculations. You're
So
using.
okay, does Unreal
using
Engine have a
static.
physics engine built into it?
No.
Okay,
No,
so
it does
then
not.
how is it rendering physics objects?
It's using static animations. No,
So I just played-
Unreal does not have a physics engine.
So then
At
why
all.
would you ever use a physics engine if it's just going to limit your frame rate to a set number on every device? Because that's a disaster.
Well, the thing is because that is truly dynamic animation. Nowadays,
do
things are
everything-
going back to the.
You can do
But the
everything
thing is-
with that.
We're
as,
not.
like,
we're
other
actually
physics objects.
we're actually going backwards. That's the thing. Is we've gone backwards in technology. We've gone away from physics engines to static canned animations. Like we've gone backwards. We're going back.
What do
in
you
time
mean
to,
by
like the
that?
80s.
Because like I would say every animation in this game is static.
This doesn't use canned animation as much, but I wouldn't say this would be like. I see you're dead.
Yeah, it was fun.
Unfortunately.
But-
Thankfully, I've played with my toys as well.
There is nothing that this game does that you couldn't do, I guess, without a physics engine.
Well, so if you don't have a physics engine, everything that you do is basically deception and smoking mirrors.
I don't. The thing is, right? I don't believe you.
The thing is, this was one of those things where
we've essentially gone back to more static animations instead of
By static
physics
animation.
Okay, so static animations is like you call a specific animation.
Yeah.
For example, this game actually has static animations that are not tied to the physics engine, obviously. When you use the chat system and you use the salute or whatever, those are canned animations.
Walking animation is a static animation.
Not necessarily.
But it is in this instance.
Because it kind of because your character can turn and rotate. That's actually more of a dynamic animation.
Okay, but Unreal Engine can do that. And
It can use a dynamic engine, but it doesn't use the physics engine to perform the dynamic animation.
Don't be afraid to be cowardly.
what is the physics engine doing that is so
So the
special
physics
or relevant?
So the physics engine grabs that certain objects have certain level of weight, and thus when they get released, you know how you have ragdolls?
Yeah.
So ragdolls are usually a form of dynamic animations that are interacting with no clips. But a proper physics engine will actually give like the body weighs 50 pounds and like will associate different weights to different parts.
That's so inefficient.
That was the new way of doing it. We just got rid of physics engines. We just basically deleted it. And more games are removing more and more of all physics from their games.
Well,
And everything is basically just either a canned animation. Yeah, actually, we're actually going more into canned animations nowadays, which is crazy to me.
well, okay.
We're
the
going
problem-
back to like 40-year-old technology for animations.
Why the question here is why would you render your walking animation
Well,
with
so
all of this added weight when you
well,
can
if you
do
don't,
bulk
this
and
actually
an
results
optimization
in
when you
clipping
can
and
just
stuff
play
like
an
that.
animation that has a physics object attached to it.
The problem with it is that there will be no physics attached to it. A lot of the things is just flat out like smoke and mirrors.
That's not true because then every game in Unreal Engine would have you fall through the floor.
No, there's a no clip on the floor, but
It's collision, which is the
Yeah.
physics object
which
colliding
actually
with the
is
physics
not a
object.
physics engine. Actually, it's not physics. There's no physics in that. It's basically a layer. It's like a 2D wall that says no collide.
Yeah, but it's not colliding with physics
But it's
objects.
not. It's
Like there's a
not
hitbox
physics
that
thing.
has
I know what
like
you're
momentum
talking about.
and
Like
speed, and it's saying physics object cannot go through here.
actually, it doesn't do physics object. It doesn't let specific objects through.
Let hitboxes
No
that
collides
have, a
have
collision tag on
existed before physics engines. Like no collides is an earlier tech.
Can I offer my 2 cents on this?
Sure, go for it.
What DK's saying doesn't make any sense. So I agree with Rampage.
Okay, I know what he's saying. The problem is that doing it is incredibly inefficient, and if what he said about it requiring a set frame rate is true, just a terrible idea.
It's usually a limitation of specific physics engines. Like some of them, like are trapped to a certain number. But the thing is, the physics engine might be trapped to that frame rate, right? And what will happen is if your game is at a different frame rate than the physics engine, it can cause a desync in that. And then things will go through each other. The thing is, physics engines are in no way like the most efficient way of doing something. It's generally the more honest way of doing it.
But if this quote-unquote honest way that is really not very different, it sounds like, causes a bunch of problems, why would we ever use it?
Generally because, as I said, it's more expensive.
That's not a good thing.
But you know how, like, say, like, you blow up a bridge?
Yeah.
Without a physics engine, that will always be the same exploding bridge, basically.
No.
Yes.
You would attach different objects and then have them render in as they're colliding. Right? So you would
I'm
have,
saying,
you would
like,
have a
if
bunch
you
of
play
different
that
objects.
map-
You would segment out the bridge, and then as it falls, it would collide in different ways.
No. See, the other way you would do it is that it would always be the same explosion, just copy paste it every time.
Yeah, but you don't have
Because it would
like,
just play its animation.
It
wouldn't
look at
react.
Teardown, right? Teardown has exactly what I'm saying. Everything is like in a segmented part. The whole point is that you can break stuff and it's dynamic.
Basically, dynamic things require some implementation of a physics engine. You can have an Unreal game that has a physics engine in it. Physics is one of the more, like, common ones.
But like it's still
Most games
also
rely on
doesn't
that.
mean that you have to tie it to frame rate.
If it's not, it's the thing is, a lot of things can break.
If you do it wrong, like, yeah, maybe like it might look a little funny sometimes. with,
No,
like,
no.
screen
I'm
carrying
talking
this,
about,
but
like,
otherwise
large
you're
sections
gonna
of
have
it
some
fly out of
people go
control.
faster than others.
No, what will happen is that objects will pierce because
They'll
the
do that
physics engine
anyway.
can no longer calculate.
They'll do that
Okay,
anyway.
If something is deterministic, would you say that it has a physics engine?
If it's deterministic, it doesn't have a physics engine. Now, I will take it back. Unreal does have kinesthetics, and I think that might be the basic Unreal physics engine, but it's very limited. I know physics, and Havoc. Now, at some point, physics was bought up by NVIDIA, and was actually a separate video card you had to have from your video card. Like, you had to put a special physics graphic card next to your graphic card in your computer to allow the hardware to calculate the physics. This is where you replace the software physics engine with a hardware physics engine.
So, tab, right? You're familiar with tabs?
Yes.
Does tabs have a physics engine?
I don't know. I'd have to check.
We can approach the ring from underground. As long as we have
So,
backup, we should
okay,
be
so you're
fine.
not as familiar with tabs as I assume.
I know what the game is, but I'd have to check to see if it had a physics engine. I don't know what software they use.
I'm not sure. I ask because of how the characters move. Because it sounds to me like they're moving in what you would describe as a physics engine.
Why are you
But-
all dead?
Golden answer.
I don't know why I'm dead. I don't know. But okay, your orbs, right? Or would you say this game has a physics engine, Stephen?
I'd have to check as well. I thought this one used Havoc, but I could be mistaken.
Good work.
So,
Not one bit. To think I'd see monsters here.
is there any way to tell from a gameplay standpoint if it's using a physics engine?
I'm just glad we exterminated it before.
Yes, sometimes.
It matters how well the devs hide it. Very obvious one. Any of the Arkham Knight games, like say, like Arkham City and Arkham Knight, those have no physics engine whatsoever, and rely specifically on canned animation.
This hole. Is this it? It's not one of ours.
They're so undynamic in Arkham, it's disgusting. You can literally catch Batman floating in specific directions because of how canned animation is.
Okay, so
Well, you could
here's my-
break a physics engine like that too. That's not that's just like
No,
designing
it only
It's not a
no,
physics
Batman
engine.
only uses static animation. It just uses canned animation. There is no physics being calculated. Batman flies through objects.
Well, yeah, if you break it,
No, it's
like
just
that's what
100%.
happens when you break it. The whole point is
No, no.
that
You hit punch. You are you're just playing the canned animation. That's all it does. It just plays canned animation.
okay, so then this game can't have a physics engine because when I use my sword, I can flip through a wall. Like my hand flips through a wall. So this game can't
That
have
may
a physics.
not be relied on physics. You can still use canned animation and still have a physics.
But so okay, so
I don't know if
if
this game-
the animations were tied to a physics engine,
This game definitely does have canned animation.
if my sword animation were tied to a physics engine, I would presumably move back when I try to swing against the wall. Right?
If this did have a physics engine, I think it would only be for destruction. So I don't feel like any of our actions are being limited by a physics engine.
No, but if there was a physics engine, right, and my sword animation was attached to that physics engine, when I swing against the wall, instead of flipping through it, like my character would move back, right? Like counteract my arm flipping through the wall, it would be pushed back.
Maybe. The thing that the physics engine would probably calculate way better is that your sword would have weight.
Okay, but what would happen?
That matters how the walls are set up in the map.
It's too dangerous.
I haven't seen how the developers laid out the map in their engine. Because generally, say like in Unreal, you would actually set up like no collision meshes to prevent collision.
Well, you would make all of the objects.
Like you literally have to like paint over all the walls like no collide.
That's very old. You would just make all the wall objects have collision.
Well, the thing is, you would make that, but you would still allow collision to a certain extent. That's one of those things where you like if you want to make sure that the character doesn't actually collide with a wall, you have to put colliders everywhere.
Well, yeah, you make the wall object have collision, and then the wall has
The
collision.
wall object not having collision isn't good enough to actually fully prevent collision. That's why in some games you can kind of go in the wall a little bit, like your gun will go into the wall, or
Well, yeah, because
or
the
your
wall,
leg will go
because
in.
your gun doesn't have collision. Your character's hitbox is
So-
probably a beam.
So let's say your leg, right? Your legs might be able to go through parts of it, not because they didn't set a collision. Is that sometimes you have to put another level of collision.
No, it's because your
Over.
character's hitbox is most likely either a square or a beam, which your model goes outside of.
Generally, the hitbox is around the entire model, like a general like square. But even if the walls prevent collision, mappers will actually add another level of no collision.
You made
Like,
they will add specific areas to prevent collision. It's like invisible walls, if you will.
Yeah, but that's really unnecessary.
It is absolutely necessary for certain situations because there's a possibility that characters will still clip through, even if they shouldn't be able to.
That realistically should only happen in situations where physics are tied to frame rate and the person has really low frame rate, or the person is going so incredibly fast that the rendering technique is
That is a possibility. There's other things that cause it. Like, for example, say the original Super Mario Bros. Game that was on the NES. It was possible for characters to actually jump through walls.
That's just not true, but okay.
Yes, it was.
Well, it's like
it requires you to jump at the wall in a very specific way.
It's like
Okay. I need you to explain what you mean exactly.
Okay, in the original NES Super Mario Brothers, there was a technique at jumping at the wall, in which you could jump through it.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. But what do you jumping at the wall and going through it are two very different things.
It has to be done.
Are you saying that it doesn't have a physics engine or not?
Let's do it.
I'm saying that you would jump at the wall, and you would go through it. You jumped at it just in the right way.
See, I'm assuming what's happening here is the animation of jumping is putting, like, you're starting the point of the animation on one side of the wall, and the animation is moving the character to the other side, and then when animation ends, you're on the other side of the wall, is my guess from what I've been
Now,
told.
of course, if the game had a physics engine, you could do all kinds of crazy things. Like, oh boy, that Schedule 1 game, where someone, like, takes an object and picks it up and stands on it, and then floats away.
Yeah, okay. So, you played Repo. Repo has a physics engine, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I can guarantee you all they did was put something, like put an object and give it collision. And then like
No, because the
ascribe
objects have different
a
weights.
series of momentum.
The physics engine is the one that calculates, like, how hard it is to move an object. So the physics engine is the one calculating.
I kind of understand what you mean.
Yeah.
The problem is that should never ever be tied to frame rate.
It sometimes has to be based on how the game's played. I'm not saying, like, it always has to be that way, but
It would only ever not be tied to frame rate, or only ever be tied to frame rate in, like, the very, very early stages of development. Because tying it to frame rate is just a horrible idea.
well, the thing is, you would have to have another frame rate, like a simulation speed.
What does delta time do? That's what people use.
I've heard the term. I don't know what delta time is off the top of my head.
Because what delta time does is, well, I know like its function. I don't know how it does its function, but it ties. It's how you make things not tied to frame rate.
But I'll be honest, a lot of games do tie things to the frame rate.
And everyone, like, every time that happens, it's a problem. Like, it's not a good thing. No one likes it.
But I assure you, there's even worse. Some games actually have their programming tied to the frame rate.
Yeah. And no one likes that either. Like, these aren't good things. They shouldn't happen.
Hey, Kurt, just wait for a second.
There's so much health in here, by the way. It's very unnecessary.
But the thing is, for physics engines, you'd have to separate it out as a simulation speed and do it like Space Engineer does. That's how you calculated away from frame rate, is by creating a simulation speed.
I mean, maybe that's what delta time does, right? But
The only problem
always want to
with
do that. You never want it attached.
there
to
are
frame rate.
way more problems with that though, because it can basically break the server it's on.
You sure know how to make people
Well, the problem is if you have it tied to frame rate.
I doubt I'll ever see
If you have it tied to frame rate. Okay, so delta time measures the duration of a frame, apparently, and then describes, and then does the whole bunch of math.
But a
Okay.
time should only be 30 seconds.
So, basically, what delta time does
That's the
is
NTSC joke.
it's running like 240 FPS. It does a bunch of math to make it to make all the objects run the same as 60 FPS. Probably. Okay, that's actually really good.
But as I said, the tying it to a simulation speed is another solution, but it comes with consequences of its own. It
So, there.
can break the game and server.
So there's no reason to not use delta time and have it like not really tied to frame rate. It's not tied to frame rate. It's tied to math, which is based off of the duration of the frame, or based off of the duration of the interval. That's the word.
Usually, the physics engine still can't go past its frames per second.
Well, you would never design it like that. You would never design it to like operate at twice the speed of the graphics card's ability.
Well, usually it's hard times at say 60 or 75.
Yeah, so like you would do okay, if you wanted to render frames assuming a 60 FPS, right? Assuming 60 FPS is your like native speed, right? Then you would set that up and then use delta time and have it no longer be tied to the user's frame rate, because it's just going to divide your the interval between the user's frame rate and like your desired FPS, so it's 60. And then it's not gonna like the problem that a lot of bad games run into is when someone uses higher FPS, like they'll move faster because they haven't like fixed that, and that's a problem. that's why delta time is such a big deal.
Interesting enough, there are still games today that are considered high-end good games that the encounter rate of enemies is based on your frame rate.
Yeah, but that's a problem. Like, you can still, like, I can make a story game, or even, like, a really good, like, competitive game, and have a problem, like, in its code. Like, I can still make a part of it for them, and have, like, people genuinely perceive it well. But,
Just
like,
as long as you
people will
remember
also
to
complain
support-
about that, because tying it to FPS is terrible. Like, Rocket League has a physics engine, right? It has a physics engine, but it's not tied to frame rate. It's tied to the server, technically. The Rocket League is kind of a bad example.
I don't know. I have to look to see how Rocket League uses its physics engine, if it has one.
It has one. They imported one. But
I don't know. I don't know much about Rocket League.
Rocket League is kind of a bad example because they do some really weird stuff to minimize cheating. There was one spider, but like there are other games. I remember there was a PvP game based around like bow and arrow, like bows and arrows, and it was tied to frame rate. And if you like unlock the FPS, which isn't generally too difficult to do, like everything would break. Like the arrow speed would be different and the walking speed would be different. And that's like, that just shouldn't happen. You can avoid that. At that point, it's not even like the problem of using a physics engine, which I think everything has a physics engine to some extent. Because otherwise,
A lot of games nowadays are getting rid of that and going strictly to calculating canned animations.
well, the thing is, right? How are you measuring speed?
They just basically that doesn't require a physics engine though.
So, how do you measure momentum?
You just simply measure it inside the engine, not the physics engine, the game engine.
So, isn't the game engine then a physics engine because it's measuring speed and
No.
momentum and like that's physics?
No, you're crazy, Rampage.
Like that's
Of course
just
not.
physics. Like it's measuring momentum.
It's not properly calculating momentum in physics.
What does that mean?
Is okay. Because like I'm thinking like risk like okay, we can go with like no that's more of an animation. Risk Brain 2 is. Yeah, Spider okay, so okay, I think I understand what you're saying. I think. So like the PS4 Spider-Man game. Would you say the swing like the PS4, yeah, PS4 Spider-Man, right?
Mhm.
I think it was just called Spider-Man or something like that. The swing for like just the like base swing, would you say that is tied to a physics engine?
No, probably not.
Okay, we can both agree on that. The reason I say I don't think that's tied to a physics engine, as you've explained it, is because your speed is kind of set throughout the thing. It's like a set speed that's, and like if you hit a wall, and then like you'll stop moving, but if you move out of the wall, you'll just maintain all your speed, right?
Yeah.
So you can measure momentum. So like, you know, you hit wall, stops you, and then when you move away from the wall, you don't have speed, right? You can do that just like in Unreal Engine. Like you don't have to do any extra work. That's just, you can just do that.
Yeah, you could set the player move speed to say like 25% normal or something like that.
Well, you just add
And then you
speed
do
as you
wall
go,
and-
right? It's like
You don't even need to add speed. You could just have it as a game mechanic of at the start you have 100% like move speed and you reduce the move speed.
yeah, or like you increase it as you know time goes on. But like that's physics.
That's not physics. That's just like saying, oh, make the player move speed 25%.
That's
Have it slow down. It simulates physics at that point.
okay, but that's what a physics engine does. It simulates physics.
It really simulates physics versus just like a mathematical calculation.
No, it's using math to simulate physics.
I'll just play. What I'm talking about is simulating it in the sense of lying about the physics.
Can we take a break? What on earth is that thing?
It's a Kraken.
Why?
It's in fact a Kraken. It's called the Kraken.
No, I get that, but what?
It's a Kraken.
It,
Okay.
It's your new friend.
Yeah.
What are the flying squid things in the air?
Kraken's friends.
Okay.
I think they're bottom feeding Kraken. I think that's what they were called.
Yeah, that really explains a lot.
Okay, anyway. So how is a physics engine doing anything different from just like Unreal Engine?
So, well, I think Unreal Engine relies on something called kinesthetics, and I don't know how kinesthetics works. But what I'm talking about is there's a difference between actually calculating physics and then just like making up a random number. Like, oh, just decrease player move speed.
Well,
You know, it's like
you're
something
just
set
adding
in
another
stone.
step. Like you're doing
Well,
the same thing, you're just making it more difficult.
If like one of them is going to calculate angles and stuff like that, and the other one is just going to just be a pre-planned momentum and loss of momentum. So we've pre-calculated how much speed you would lose on a swing, and we're just going to follow that all the time, and it will always be the same number. And why is everyone dead?
We should probably just reset because I messed up my first jump. And I can
Okay,
kill
let's
it.
reset then. This sounds terrible.
The problem that I have, DK, is the only place I can imagine, like, every game I think of has a quote-unquote physics engine, as it's been described to me. Like, I can't, like, like even like Mario Maker or whatever, right? That to me has a physics engine as you've described it. And I'm like, so what is different about this mystical physics engine that makes some things just not have one? Even though they're doing like the same, even though they have the same effect.
Okay, so there is one that is it an approximate simulation of physics or a pre-planned equation? Unfortunately, that's where like the line gets drawn, because if it's pre-planned, in which it will happen a very specific way every single time,
Then it's a
there's
cutscene.
no, unfortunately not. But cutscenes can actually be dynamic.
Yeah, those are really funny, but they're, for the most part, just like cutscenes built into a game.
Well, the thing is, like, being dynamic doesn't necessarily mean a physics engine.
So then what does a physics engine have that's different?
Very shiny.
Okay, so Rocket League uses a modified version of Unreal's kinesthetic physics engine.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like Unreal 3 though, or probably Unreal 2, honestly.
It uses Unreal 3.
Yeah, it's built in Unreal 3, but I know they imported it.
Guys,
Yeah,
this should be Earth Defense Force 9.
Yeah, we're playing Earth Defense 9.
Anyways, I'm really confused. Do you think that Mario, the thing that you brought up previously, has a physics engine?
No.
Well, I
Probably
brought
not.
that up, and
But
No,
if
like,
you understood Mario Maker, you'd be more scared about how Mario Maker works.
Well,
yeah,
like, DK brought
okay,
up
sure,
region-
but like,
But I don't understand. Why do you not think that has a physics engine?
yeah,
It probably doesn't.
How?
Um,
How?
Because if you understood how Mario Maker worked, you'd be very
No,
scared.
I'm not
Okay,
playing
then,
Mario Maker.
like,
I'm playing the
How
NES.
does it not have a physics engine?
I'm talking about the NES Mario in 1985.
That had no physics engine
Can
whatsoever.
you explain how it doesn't have a physics engine?
Physics engines didn't exist back then. The NES would explode.
Not true.
How so?
I do not know enough about this, but I feel like you're wrong.
Physics engines did not exist back then. But anyway, you know Mario Maker actually stores
Hang on. I gotta hang on.
instructions
You were okay.
I gotta look at this because
A physics
into the
engine is
map code itself.
a physics engine is a computer program that simulates physics, often used in computer graphics, video games, and film. It uses mathematical algorithms to calculate momentum, motion, collision, interaction. How is something not a physics engine? If it uses math to change the physics of something and update the collision and interaction between objects. If that's exactly what's happening, how is that not a physics engine? Based off the definition of a physics engine.
Because it did not do any of those calculations?
But it did.
No,
how? It does.
No, it essentially, when you press jump, there was a, like...
It applies a set velocity to your character to make you go up, and then renders like every frame to like it says, okay, we're rendering a frame. What's happening? Oh, they have this amount of velocity. They're going this far up, and then we'll take some of it away because like simulated gravity.
I believe the original Mario basically just, like, you pressed the jump button, and it played a jump animation.
Not true.
That's just not true. If that was
Well,
true,
you
then
you would
go
play through the
things.
different sprites, essentially.
That's not true. Okay, so looking up, does the first Mario game have a physics engine? The first thing is, yes, it does. It has momentum, trajectory, it has different velocities, it has directional changes. It is not a very
Is
complicated,
the
it does
movement
not have
in
a
this
complicated
game tied to a physics engine?
but it does have a physics engine.
So, because a physics engine is a middleware, it is not like the game engine itself. If the game engine is calculating itself, it is not a physics engine.
What?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Does this game have a physics engine?
Let me check.
Or let me rephrase it. Is the movement, just the movement in this game, tied to a physics engine?
What game is this?
I guess EDF 9 now.
Because the way you were describing how pressing the jump button works in the first Mario, it's just not true.
Oh, it uses the Havoc physics engine.
See, the problem that I have, DK, is that everything uses a physics engine. There's just different levels of what you're calculating. Like, if you play, like Space Invaders, right? I would still say that has like a really basic physics engine. It's just like really basic. It's not calculating momentum, just like how fast you're going, because you can just like go left and right immediately. There's no cooldown. But like the bullets have
You must
like
be
they're
the newbie.
physics objects.
Shall we
They have
start?
collision.
Our job today is to move cargo.
If you hit
We're gonna move
the
the cargo
bullet,
from the basement to the
you
ground
take
floor.
I think you have live.
What you're
or
wearing
do
is a power.
I have no idea how it works.
It
you,
has great
I'm
safety.
remembering
Save
live,
cargo
right?
all
If
by
you hit the
yourself.
bullet,
I heard
if
it was
your
developed for military use and has the same
hitbox
power output as a tank.
interacts with the bullet's hitbox, you die.
Nice.
That means there's a physics engine because the bullet has to be capable of like moving
Well done.
and you have to be capable of moving and it has to be able to register
By the way,
collision
what is that weapon? Do we
and
need it for our mission?
like it's a
Could be
really
dangerous.
basic
Leave it.
move. Yeah, but it's not.
I
get
think
to work
that's
then.
too simplistic to be considered a.
I'll show you the way.
But also remember, physics engines are middleware that calculate physics.
Monsters! Run! Run!
Don't worry, it's fine. Huh? What happened?
How
The lights will return to normal soon.
how is it too simple?
It seems like you don't mind much. Keep up. The bottom of the base is huge. It's easy to get lost. I'll open the door now.
Like
I
what
believe
is
that is a pure-
what is the threshold for something to go from not a physics engine to a physics engine?
So a physics engine is a separate engine from the game that handles the calculation of physics.
This way. Watch out for
Why does it have to be separate?
a powered exoskeleton hits like a truck. You don't want to get
Because as I said, that's the thing. It's a middleware. It's like this game uses Havoc.
He was eaten! George
Right.
was eaten!
So-
Don't worry. Soldiers love making jokes
I
like
find it interesting that we have started at the start of EDF 5.
So this game does have a physics
Just
engine,
switch on the
right?
light and
Yeah,
it'll be fine.
Havoc.
Yeah, we can both agree on that, and I can agree with that because of how movement is done. Like I can see that it's rendering like momentum and all of that.
Don't know
Every
what
game
the
does
other
that.
part- Havoc calculates like, for example, my big bullet, how it bounces and rolls and interacts and like carves out buildings. That's all being calculated by Havoc.
Yeah, but like,
I don't believe your character animations are necessarily tied.
well,
to
not the
Havoc.
animations, the way that the character moves. Like, if I go
These tragic
forward
memories keep piling
and
up,
then try to move
one
back,
after the next.
it takes
But I still
time.
push
My
on.
my
We're hitting
character
them where it hurts.
is
Isn't that
very
right?
momentum based. This is physics, right? It takes a while to like turn and gain speed. And those are physics.
No need to be nervous. Behind
If I hit a wall, it's like it doesn't do anything, right? It's physics. My character's speed is based entirely off of momentum. So I know that it has to have some level of.
I know
efficiency.
Havoc definitely calculates a lot of its animations and has like usually an FPS limit to it.
What? Why did I get bit by a normal
Wait.
ant?
Can gray ants grab things now?
Apparently.
Anyway,
Also, welcome to EDF 5.
this is EDF 9 actually.
Yep, 9 now.
Yeah, EDF 9-5.
Anyway, the reason why I asked about deterministic games, DK, is I'm sure we can all agree that Trackmania has a physics engine, right, Rampage?
Yeah.
You agree with that?
There's
But
no
it is
way
a-
it doesn't have a physics engine.
It is a deterministic game. If you put in the same input, you will have the same output. That's what deterministic is.
sure what
The same
But
for
you're
Rocket.
saying
If it comes down to it, use that
is
weapon to
yeah
defend
okay.
yourself.
Well, you're saying that deterministic games cannot have a physics engine, but it does.
No, I don't mean that at all.
But you said that. You said that. So what- you don't mean that at all. You said that. I don't know what else you could mean.
Okay, okay. So Trackmania uses a different kind of physics engine called a deterministic physics
Okay, but
engine.
so does Rocket
That's
League.
not
You
physics
said that has a physics engine.
Actually, Rocket League might use a modified version of Havoc as well.
It's still a physics engine.
Yeah, it's like it's still a physics engine.
Yeah,
It's
I wasn't. I
physics
wasn't fully. I didn't know people were using deterministic physics engines. I apologize. That's a.
I would be worried if they weren't.
Most of them aren't. But,
That's not a. I don't consider that a good thing. If I have the physics object and it hits another physics object, I want it to do the same thing every time.
oh gosh. So a deterministic one is based on like apparently time.
What do you mean by that, and why do you sound like that's bad?
For example, Trackmania is apparently based, at least like from the like small amount of look, it's based on like every 0.2 seconds or something like that.
Okay,
That's-
that's
Not true, but I don't.
I mean, that's what I've read about Trackmania right now. But I'm also trying to play this game. So I apologize. I'm trying to look these things up as you mention them.
yeah.
Oh,
Fair.
Trackmania is definitely frame based.
Okay, yes.
Your
it's-
FPS.
It
yeah.
requires frame rate, but if you change your frame rate, the physics don't change because they've. The physics,
Yeah, I feel like I've definitely had a lag spike where I'm getting 0 FPS. The game still continues, therefore
yeah,
it's
like,
not.
It's not. It doesn't. It. Your frame rate is irrelevant to the physics engine.
It's a powered exoskeleton. You knew about this place? Looks like the equipment's ready.
Like every game has. Like
You came here
I firmly believe now more than ever that every game has a physics engine.
Okay, well,
Every 3D
Some
game
games-
at least.
Some games might calculate it internally inside the engine, or they use just flat out can animation.
okay, when you say they calculate it, what is it? What are they calculating?
They're simulating.
No, what are they
physics.
calculating?
They are calculating animation.
That. What does that mean?
They're faking what a physics engine might do.
So they're simulating or faking, if you put it.
Fair.
Physics.
So imagine. Let me say. So imagine you have an orange, right? And you have an orange in a video game. If you
Yeah.
put the orange in the video game, does that feed you?
No. But what?
There you go. So,
Well, I don't-
so to explain that, the idea is you can accomplish the same thing, right? But not necessarily how you implement, how you get that orange changes things. Because in real life that would feed you, but in the video game it would not.
What's your point?
Real versus fake.
Okay, but how
you
is
can, you can fake a lot of that stuff.
okay? If I have Mario on his 2D plane and I apply some amount of velocity upwards, and it's just like a number, right? I type in, like, you know, this isn't real code, but like, when a button is pressed, add 19 momentum up, or 19 velocity up, right? Is that a physics engine?
No.
Why?
So what do I have to do to make
So-
adding that momentum, adding that velocity a physics engine?
So, like, the idea is the physics engine would go, Mario weighs 30 pounds. This is the gravity in this scenario. You know, the object, I think Mario Maker might have a physics engine
of some sort. Because, like, for example, you could pick up a box and throw it, and the boxes and items have different weights. The seesaws, for example. In Mario Maker, for example, you can put an object on one side of the seesaw, and it might have different weights and move the seesaw accordingly, because weight is being calculated. Gravity is being calculated.
That's just a different type. That's just a physics engine that does something else.
A physics engine calculates gravity and weights of objects.
Yeah, but
That's
those
not
are also
true.
just constants that are being like in this okay. So if we have another variable for gravity and we subtract that from his upwards momentum for every whatever amount of time, right? So every time we render it, we subtract gravity from upwards momentum. Does that now become a physics engine because we're calculating gravity?
Potentially.
It is
Or
a
it
physics
could be
engine.
calculating physics. Like, a lot of these is kind of semantic, but
This is it. I'm opening
The
gate.
problem is
there's
everything's
only
a physics engine.
there
It's
are
like
only
the only
like
thing
30
you can
physics
convince me
engines.
doesn't have a physics engine. It's like a visual novel.
The thing is, you're combining animation to be physics, and
No, I'm not. I
animation.
haven't described an animation to anything in my example.
Yeah, what you've described a lot is animations. It's like animations is physics. I'm like,
Can you
not
explain?
really.
Can you just explain an animation that we? Okay, can you give an example of an animation that we talked about?
For example, say Mario's jumping, the original Mario.
That's
That
not
was
an animation.
It's an animation.
I'm not.
No, it's not. It is not.
I used say like Batman Arkham Knight as a
Yeah, that's not an example. That's not an example we brought up.
I brought it.
When
up.
I brought up
already
his
mentioned
jump,
one.
I want you to know this, right? There is a hitbox, right? And then there's a sprite on that hitbox. Like they have the hitbox, and then they have a sprite that they just put on the center of the hitbox. And then they said when hitbox moves, sprite moves. That's it.
Okay.
Right? So, if the hitbox moves, because it's a physics engine, the sprite will move with the hitbox. So the sprite just follows the hitbox. So,
We're going after them.
that's a physics engine. Like, that's...
What you're describing
Nothing's
is a
changed.
more basic physics engine versus
It's still a physics engine.
But, like, nothing changed. The fact that
it's terminology. It's terminology.
the sprite being there doesn't make what's happening any different. There's just like there's a sprite on it, and the sprite has an animation.
So the thing is, you're taking like animations and saying that's a physics engine.
No, I'm
when
not.
sometimes
I'm
that's
saying that
not
there's
a
an
physics-
object. I'm saying there's a physics object that has a hitbox, and
It
there's a
doesn't
sprite
necessarily
on it.
have physics being calculated though. That's the thing. Some of
It
that
does.
is just an animation play.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Items
This
don't
what my
think of
character
physics.
is doing right now. Yeah, I would say, like, that is an animation,
Probably.
and then there is
yeah.
teleporting the character forward slightly. I would agree with
I call that a canned animation. You
right.
can also have dynamic animations, but that's still not.
So-
that
So
still
when
doesn't
I
require-
press right click, my sprite that is attached to my character hitbox, my physics object, right? The sprite attached to it moves. It plays its animation, right? My physics object, the thing that actually matters, the hitbox, doesn't change. It's irrelevant.
There are monsters waltzing around inside the base.
It's just playing an animation. Nothing is moving.
To safely be attacked from within the base, I need a situation report.
When Mario jumps, there's a physics object, and the physics object moves, and because the physics object is moving, the sprite that's attached to it, the thing that, plays the animation, moves with it.
So, like, as I said, like some of that would be just considered a dynamic object. But
Anyway, there is only like 30 or so odd physics engines in existence.
I will ask my brother to make a physics engine right now.
That is actually really hard.
For example, so Advanced Simulation Library is one, Box 2D is one, Bullet is one, Chipmunks Physics Engine, Jolt Physics, Newton Game Physics, Open Dynamics Engine, PAL, Physics Abstraction Layer, Physics, Project Chrono, Rapier, SOFA, Tokamak Physics Engine, PhysZ, which is a public domain physics engine, Digital Molecule Matter, Havoc, Chaos, which is being made by Epic Games, Vortex, AGX Multiphysics, Algodo by AlgWorks Simulation AB, and Rubicon by Valve.
Okay. I have a question. So, a bit ago, I have this calculator, and you can code in Python. And I was like, hey, my brother, could you please make something silly? So he made it so there was a box, and it bounced around the boundaries of the screen. It calculated velocity, it calculated gravity, and you could edit these variables. And every time that it hit a wall, it added a velocity. Would you say that that's a physics engine?
No, that's just being handled by the game engine itself.
Okay, but
Right.
why?
It's a calculator.
But why is it not a physics engine? What about that is not a physics
okay,
engine?
let me start over with a full description. You ready? Physics engine is a computer software that provides an approximate simulation of physical systems.
Okay, yeah,
including-
that's what his
including
calculator game is doing.
Plastic dynamics, including rigid body dynamics, including collision detection, soft body dynamics, and fluid dynamics. Typically a middleware engine in which the simulations are in real time.
All of that is true for what he just described, except he didn't code in fluid or the other.
The term is
soft body.
used more generally to describe any software system for simulating physical phenomena, such as high-performance scientific simulation.
The thing is, like, DK, what he described is a physics engine. It's just a very simple physics engine. It's
So what
it's
he's doing is
simulating
not-
physics.
Okay, yes, it is simulating physics, but it is not dynamically simulating
It
physics.
is though,
It's like pre-calculated physics.
but
No,
it's
it's not.
It's just not because it didn't. I mean, even this would be a physics engine, and then it's just for playing it. But it didn't. There's no. You didn't. The game doesn't know when the thing is going to hit a wall, but when it hits the wall, it does something. That can't. There's no. It can't be pre-calculated because it hasn't hit the wall yet, so it hasn't done anything.
So, for example, say when the character is about to hit the wall, it opens up a calculator and calculates how you're going to hit that wall, and then punches at it.
It does?
Yeah. Like that's what it's happening.
That could be maybe a rudimentary physics engine.
But that's what he just described.
I said it could be. I don't. We're kind of going outside of like my knowledge base.
Why
It's,
would that not be?
Why would it not be?
Why would that not be a physics engine?
Because most likely what he's doing is basically a preset, already calculated number.
It's not though.
It is. It's an already known calculation.
No, it's not. If I hand you your calculator, ask you to run a program, and magically it freezes somehow, and I asked you what was going to happen when the funny little box touched the wall, you would be able to tell me what happens. Yes or no?
Okay. Hang on.
I could give you a canned response of what it would do, right? But the difference is the physics engine would make hundreds of calculations there, not just one calculation.
It's very, very
No
simple.
reason.
Only makes.
Okay, hang on. So, okay, if instead of modifying momentum, right? So, because what he described is like the box hits the wall, and then momentum in the opposite direction is added.
It's not added. A random number is generated, and that gets applied.
Okay, so it's not actually doing any math.
I mean, it is, because it calculates, like, the entrance angle, and then adds a random velocity.
Our troops are in combat. We should back them up. Follow me.
But what are those numbers based off of?
1 through 10. Or? Actually, no, it's negative 10.
So generally, like, let's go to like the physics engines I'm more familiar with, like Half-Life 2's physics engine. Every material has a weight to it. Like the physics engine actually knows that this material is metal, it cannot float, it sinks. So if an object is made of metal, it's going to sink. If this object's made out of wood, it's gonna float. And it's light. Unless it's very big, and then, you know, that the weight of it would be recalculated. But, you know, the whole, like, 3 tons of feathers and 3 tons of iron balls, you know, they're the same weight.
Okay, so imagine
Okay,
I
so-
add...
No. Okay, so
Keep the monsters away from the powered exoskeleton.
because it has another variable attached to it, which is this weight thing, right? We've attached a variable to every object, and we called it weight. And every object has this variable now. And when we make a calculation to determine the velocity that's added, we do some math with this weight variable, right?
Yeah, and fluid and obviously gravity.
Right. So okay. So we have a gravity constant. There's no way they're putting calculus in this basic engine. So we have a gravity. We have
A proper
constant for
physics
gravity.
engine will actually have a floating calculation for all this.
We have a constant for gravity, and we have a variable for weight, and then we have the amount of momentum we're applying, and then presumably we have the amount of momentum we already have, right? So all we've done compared to the calculator that Kuro has is added a few more variables and then done more math.
Well, the thing is, Kuro's calculator can only do like one calculation, right?
Yeah.
Because it's
very
just add more
imagine-
variables.
No, I'm saying is imagine if that calculator just kept running more and more calculations.
But why?
Because
So, like-
you would have.
It's not. I mean, okay, if you wanted to like simulate friction or air resistance, you just ascribe another, you just make a loop that reduces the amount of velocity by a set amount. Like you just make a loop that removes, like, if on ground remove X percentage of speed.
So that the idea is telling the game to say remove X amount of speed is taking the physics calculation out.
How? That is the physics calculation.
Yeah, that is the calculation. I don't.
It's you're essentially feeding it the numbers it's going to use, basically.
But you're feeding it a number. Okay, so the only difference I'm hearing is what it does with the number immediately after. Because there's a number that we're giving it. And we're just, for Kuro, we're just running with that number, right? We have our number and we're running with it. What it sounds like a physics engine you is doing is it's doing math after with that number. So it's like, okay, we have this funny number here. You know, let's divide it by some ratio according to this. And then, okay, this is upwards momentum. So let's subtract gravity. And then, okay, cool. Now we have our super epic physics engine approved number. But that's like just the same thing. It just we took a number that we got, right? And then we did some math with it instead of just like using that number as our baseline.
Essentially, like one of those is the physics engine would know the number that it would need. Like it would do the calculations. It would.
But how?
Because it's actually interacting with the game engine.
So no, I disagree.
As I
with
said,
you.
the physics engine knows how much that object weighs.
That's fine.
And it also knows all the information that's going on in the game engine.
So does
it's
Kuro's
basically-
calculator. He just didn't. He could easily ascribe a weight variable that.
So what he would be doing would be incredibly bad. Because he'd have to stop the game every, 1 second to recalculate.
Why?
Why?
Because you're calculating per frame, right?
Yeah. So is the physics engine.
The physics engine is doing those calculations very quickly.
So is his.
Kuro's calculator would have to stop the game every
No.
Why?
Yeah. Are you programming it to dynamically pull those numbers and recalculate?
What is that? Okay, hang on. Right? So okay, when you have a physics object in Half-Life, right? And you do something, it doesn't matter what. You do something to apply momentum to it, right? You hit it with another object, you walk into it, you pick it up, any of these, right? When you do that, you're giving it a number. And then it's making a calculation, it's going in and doing a bunch of math with that number. That's it. You've given it a number.
It's not doing any of that. It's finding the number that should be there, and then calculating it every frame, every frame, and doing this dynamically, and making adjustments and sending instructions between the game and your graphics card.
Yeah, that's what Kuro's thing is doing.
Kuro is doing a single calculation, unless he's continuously programming it to recalculate and take new numbers from the game engine. His calculator can't talk to the game engine. If his calculator can now talk to the game engine and grab new information and then send it to the video card and get information back from the video card, because that's what the physics engine is doing. It's talking between the game engine and your graphics card.
Okay,
and
so
CPU.
wait, is the physics engine even? What? Okay, hang on. All right. So when I hit a box with another box in Half-Life, right? And that box moves, right? So we have this box that we're applying momentum to by like picking it up and moving it, which is, you know, a number, right, that we have. And then we hit another box with it. The physics engine gets gets out calculator and then goes, okay, this thing went this fast, right? And we have our weight variable and like a friction variable maybe. So we can say that this amount of momentum was applied to the box, or this amount of force was applied to the box, and we can add this amount of momentum, right? And then every frame it's going, okay, we have this amount of momentum. Are we in water? No, we're not in water. Okay, are we on the ground? No, we're not on the ground. Okay, so then we just have to subtract this percentage for error for simulated charges, right? Really, and we do that every frame. Really, all that's different from Kuro's calculator game is that we've added more variable and made it look every frame, like render every frame to subtract a set amount of velocity because of simulated errors. That's the only difference.
Unfortunately, it would be more than that though. But
but like, okay, so then how is this like a variable
understand,
limit?
The physics
Like,
engine, the physics engine is talking with the graphics card and it's crunching. Your graphics card is actually crunching, and your CPU is crunching the numbers.
yeah, but it's
And
doing
then
that for
So it's basically talking to the game engine and your graphics card and CPU.
But so, like, Kuro's game is talking to
So is his
its internal
calculator
program.
into like figuring out how much that box is.
It can't.
Well, okay, hang on.
It can't. So your
The
calculator cannot,
box weight, DK, is not. It's just a variable.
it's something that could change.
Yes, but it's just a variable. Variables can change. That's
But the
why they're
thing is-
variables.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
just a variable.
So if I take a crowbar and break that box, each of those pieces is now something that now has to be determined how much each of those boxes weigh. Each
Yeah,
of those
but-
pieces of the box weigh.
Yeah. And all of them have a different weight variable. It doesn't. Nothing changed.
Well, see, those have to be dynamically determined.
No?
Yes. You don't know. When you break that box, the physics engine is going to determine how many pieces that box is going to break into and how much each of those pieces is going to weigh. Based on the material that the parent was made out of.
I mean, yeah, sure, but like that's just more variable.
If something is assigned a variable, it still is a variable.
Yeah, it's like there's no point at which there's no like point at which something has enough variables to be described as something else. It's just a different amount of variables. Like it's
No,
you could use
Rampage.
it to say something more complicated. You know, like a pool engine is insane, right? Because it has a ton of variables. But it's
Rampage, consider it's not actually variable. It's a box.
just every ball is just a collection of variables.
Yeah, unfortunately, so like the physics engine would ask the game what material that object's made out of.
That's
And-
okay. Hang on, no.
and
Let's
essentially-
simplify what you just said.
Yeah. Okay.
It would ask the game. The game would it would look at it and it would go, okay, the variable x was just called on. What is x? That's what just happened. It just asked for a variable.
The weight of a thing is a variable.
So is material. It just all that just happened is it asked for a variable.
So the thing is that variable may be multiple answers because the object may be made out of multiple
Yes,
materials.
right? Yes, but it's still just a variable. It's like, yeah, the variable could be X or Y, but it's still X or Y. Like, it's still just a variable.
And so then, like, if it receives a certain amount of force, how much should it move?
Yeah, which is a variable and like an if-else statement.
It's not though. I'd have to actually look up the physics calculations, but this isn't something I can do while playing this game. This game requires too much of my attention for that.
But like it's asking for material, which is a variable, and then it's going, okay, we have this material. If material is Y, then take momentum, like take applied velocity and divide it by 2, right? It's all it's done is take the variable and then do math with it. Like take the variable, and that the variable tells us which set of math equations we want to do.
But the physics engine would also be responsible for sorting out what those variables should be, right?
So you're saying that if I make a game, I put a physics engine, and many different things are materials, and all these materials have different values, I don't know what those values are because the physics engine calculates.
Yeah.
What?
Okay, wait. So, okay, hang on. Wait, hang on. So, okay, if when we hit a box with another box, right? The physics engine is the thing that says this was a box?
Yeah, something like that.
So, as a game maker, I cannot say what things are boxes and what things aren't boxes?
Unless you choose to bypass the physics. Well, as I said, it matters how you have the physics engine set up to do all those calculations.
So,
Because you may not choose to calculate.
it's this all-powerful force that determines what things are boxes.
Hang on, wait. Okay, so in Half-Life, right, they have this physics engine that just, it knows what everything is made of?
Yeah,
Like, it doesn't...
But what if I don't want a
Okay, so
specific
then
thing?
why when you did this did you say it was asking for the material?
It goes through to determine what texture. So
Okay,
the way
what is it asking? What being is it asking to determine what the material is?
I believe it checks what kind of texture it is. But
No,
So
the
that's
physics
a
engine
variable. It's a variable run by the game engine. That's just a variable.
because there's actually like a set of information about an object that has to be read through and parsed
that's a
through
variable.
file. It's a file that has to be completely parsed through by
A file can have variables.
Yeah, it has many variables about that one specific material.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
it's still just variable. Nothing's changed.
But it's finding those variables.
okay.
But Kuro's game is finding the variables too. It's asking, hey, what is what is variable X? He could
The
easily.
problem is his calculator can only do that once, right? I mean, I guess maybe he could program the calculator to do many calculations. But it
Yeah,
would
so
be
the
probably
idea
very
is that at
inefficient.
some point you would put it in a loop, and you would go, okay, we have, thing here. What is thing? That's we can look at that variable. Okay, we have that. Like it's just a loop. Like having putting a physics engine, giving it a loop doesn't make it any more or less of a physics engine. You're just changing what the physics engine does.
I'm still caught up on the fact that the physics engine determines what things are boxes. Because if I try to make a game and I put a physics engine in, then that means I can't say what parts of the game are boxes and what parts of the game are like steel beams. Because the physics engine decided it for me. And now I'm stuck and I have all these boxes and I can't do anything because the physics engine just like, this is a box. But I don't want it to be a box. But the physics engine told me it was a box and now I can't do anything about it. And this is usually problem have.
DK, it's not, the physics engine isn't determining what is and isn't X material. The physics engine is being told to look at a file directory, or look at a file, right? And then in that file, there's a variable which tells it, hey, this is X.
Well, okay, that file might have like say 100 variables.
Yeah, but it's only
Okay,
looking for one.
1,000 variables. And then it has to talk to the graphics card and say, you know, what's going to happen this frame, what's going to happen this frame, what's going to happen this frame. It's
Yeah,
now
that's just a
here.
loop.
What happen now? What
Loop.
rotation? What?
It's just a loop.
It's not a loop.
It is!
How is that not a loop?
Because a loop would be static.
It is static.
How?
A loop won't be able to... I mean, I guess the loop could pull new
The
information.
loop is the... Okay, so we have the loop here, and inside of the loop is the math we're doing. Like, we have this, calculate momentum, and it has, we have, calculate momentum
Oh, we were
for...
supposed to use Argus for this.
Yeah, we were, but it's not tall enough to hit any of the pilots, so I don't know what we were supposed to do with it. We have calculate. Goodness, why did it give me those? we have
Everyone.
we have calculate momentum for object Y, and then we go and we ask what folder do we, or what file do we look at for object Y? So we go in and we look at the folder for object Y, and we get our like weight and our like air resistance or whatever, right? Or drag or something. And then we go into a loop and we check, has there been any momentum applied? Yes or no? Like, if we hit it with a box, then yes, momentum was applied. And then we add that momentum, and then we're like, okay, what is our current momentum? And then we're like, okay, are we touching the ground? If we're touching the ground, divide its speed by a third, and then if we're in water, divide its speed by big number. And we're just doing all of this, and then when we get to the end of this loop, we go back to the start, and then we do the same thing again, and that's the loop. This is what's calculated every frame. It's a loop because we're doing all of this math every time. It's like a while loop. It's like while box is here, do these calculations, and then every frame runs through that.
Apparently, it's very high calculus. I just looked at what the physics engine calculations look like, and there are calculations just for position, which is R open parentheses T close parentheses equals R sub 0 plus, I don't know what that symbol is, with a T and a 0 underneath it, multiplied by VDT to a power I've never seen or heard of before.
The difference, DK, is it's just a different. We're just making a variable. How we're getting the variable, or what we're doing with the variable is irrelevant.
Oh, that did not copy correctly. Let me just delete that. It's absolutely worthless.
Okay, no, so derivative integral. Yeah, it's DK. This is exactly what his calculator game.
It's a stretch to call it a game. Please stop.
But this is exactly what it's doing. It has its velocity and it has its acceleration. Yeah, this is the same thing.
I didn't properly paste. I'm gonna delete that and just take a screenshot for my sanity. Here we go. I'm not familiar with these formulas at all.
Because they'll change for everything.
Well, I mean,
something is different.
the mathematical calculus. I'm not familiar with calculus.
Yeah, but it also doesn't matter. Like, okay, so we're defining our position by we're defining the position by a variable. And then we're updating it, which is exactly what we do before, right? So this is just like another step. So we have the position of our box, right, as a variable. And then we're going, okay, here's our position of the box. What do we have to do to it?
So the
right?
velocity
And
of
then we have our
object
loop.
found with the antiderivative of its acceleration and its position with the antiderivative of its velocity.
Okay, hang on. So we have our position, and we have to figure out how its position is changing. This is the goal of the physics engine. How is the position of this thing changing? So we have our position, and then we have a big loop. And in this big loop, we have a whole bunch of variables that are like its momentum and acceleration and its current velocity and its weight and whatever, right? We have this big loop, and then what we're doing is we're updating the position. Now, what we can do as well is say that the position is equal to that loop, because that's what we're doing. And by saying that, we're just shifting all of the calculations to one side of the equal sign instead of pointing the thread to a loop.
Exterminate the monsters in this area.
But
Commence operation.
at the end of the day, we're still just taking
Fear
a
nothing,
position
including those monster
and then
freaks.
running a loop
Yes, sir.
to do a bunch of stuff with variables.
You really plan on using that thing?
So it's not different.
So I guess we'll have to figure out if Kuro's calculator can find a position.
Well,
By
it
finding
has
the
the position. Its initial position is given to it, just as it would be before. Because if we didn't give it an initial position, right? If we didn't say X is at Y, then the calculation would always probably presume 0. And so every frame, the object would teleport back to 0 plus the applied momentum. So it has to be given in the file that has all the variables. There will be a position variable because it has to have a starting point from which to apply momentum and figure out how much actually has to change in that frame. And so Kuro's calculator game has a position variable that is changing every frame, because if it, and it's checking that position variable every frame because it has to know if that position variable.
How are y'all dead?
We both got charged. It has to know if that position variable is at a wall, because then it the game has to know if the position variable is at a wall, so that it can give a different variable to the loop we're running. But yes, it knows the position, because the position is just another variable we're checking.
It knows the position because it knows where it is. The missile always knows where it is, but subtracting where it is from where it isn't.
Technically, while a missile might do that, game engines won't.
The game engine will, because it knows where it is and where the box is. It just takes it from where it isn't, right? It takes where it is from where it isn't.
I don't think
There are reasons to do that for a missile, theoretically.
But you'd have to do that for like every single object.
The game engine, or the physics engine, is not checking. It's not going, where is this box not? It's going, let me look in the file for this box and see the position variable.
Well, that wouldn't actually be in that particular material file. It would have to
Are you dead?
Yeah, he has a they increased the hitbox on him a lot.
I feel like the game wants us to use that unloader.
Yeah.
I have this feeling. But I could be wrong.
It's not.
Can you really work this thing?
It's not any different.
Well, the physics engine isn't relying on a loop, but I guess
It is. It has to be. Okay, it's either not relying. It's either relying on a loop, or is only doing things when it's called on. Those are the.
I'm gonna
two
have
options.
to like stop because this has gone beyond what I know, and I'm gonna have to be careful because we've kind of like stretched my knowledge of physics engines at this point, and I'm gonna need to stop because I'm not a good enough expert on them. And I'm just gonna admit that I'm not an expert, and probably someone way smarter than me probably has a way better way to explain some of the things I attempted to explain. But like my original comment is I've seen a lot of people just remove physics engines from a game and rely purely on like just playing animation after animation.
Well, those are like visual novels, right? There is no object. There is only the sprite.
Yeah, well, that's how the Batman game works. It just like
it's not.
it actually will like grab like Batman and the person and move them to a canned position so that it can play its animation.
I mean that, right? It's not just there's a physics object, right? And there's a physics object, and the reason why Batman floats is not because the sprite or the I don't know. It has another word for something. The sprite, he doesn't float because the sprite is determining the position. He's floating because the physics engine is incorrect about where he is.
Okay, so what I'm saying is what it will do is it will act like it's playing a movie that you have no input onto.
So a cutscene.
It's a cutscene.
It's a cutscene, but it's gameplay because it's like you push the punch button and it finally just turned into like you hit the play button on an animation.
So it's a cutscene with QuickTime events?
Unfortunately, it's gameplay. The main gameplay of punching an enemy turns into a somewhat just like you were playing a movie, and the animation has to jerk things around to get them into the position that they're supposed to be in. Because it's literally just playing the animation, and because the object is not where it's supposed to be, it has to fly the object to the next keyframe.
Yeah. So the thing is, there's a physics engine there, and when you're pressing X or whatever, when you're pressing the punch button, it's taking the physics object and moving it.
Well, see, the thing is, like, this is the same thing as if, say, you did, because, if you take a 3D model and you create some animations for it, those are, like, static animations.
Yeah.
And the game is basically going animation A, and all these you know how sometimes you'll have like models that are T-posing.
Yeah.
Wait,
the
what?
T-pose is like the default start animation for a lot of animations, and that's why a lot of games do the T-pose thing.
Yeah.
Because that's like the opening frame of the animation. Which you shouldn't really do it like that. If you see that T-pose thing, that's because it's a canned animation that's playing.
Yeah. But
Sprites and
animation
animation
can also be attached to a physical.
Animations actually have positions assigned to them.
So, yeah, that's just a bad way to do it, first of all. And second, okay, so, yeah, no, that's pretty, now that I'm thinking about it, that's pretty normal. And you're just,
We've spotted multiple fires in the cave.
okay, so you
Why
have
would there
your,
be fires here?
your physics object, and then you have another physics object. So we have the physics object, Batman, and physics object enemy. And when you press the punch button, it projects a hitbox. And if enemy hitbox is touched, or if enemy hitbox and projected hitbox collide, play animation first punch.
Yeah,
And
first
then
punch.
it will have animation first punch. And animation first punch has an assumed position for an assumed relative position. So if we have a center point, Batman's going to be on the left of the center point, and the enemy's going to be on the right of the center point. And from there, we actually play our hand. What we're doing, if Batman is not at this ideal position, is we're taking the physics object that's attached to the sprite and then moving it to where it should be. So we're instead of applying any momentum or doing any of that, we're going in and we're changing the position variable to another number. So that we can play this animation. And then once we're done with the animation,
There's something
we're
off about this cave. We need to keep
effectively
investigating.
getting control of the character again. And when we have control of the character, we can start applying momentum. And we'll go back to being like normal. And but
Wait,
for
what
every
game?
punch, we're gonna render this this animation that has like strict values or whatever. If you wanted to do it where you still have the physical, but a lot of the time you should be doing for like you wouldn't do it here, but you might load in different models. Where it's like, okay, we're going into punch animation, first punch animation. Let's take the model associated with this physics object, Batman, and move it to like some faraway ocean, and then take in our animation model and put it on the physics object instead. And then we're running this new animation model. And all this model does is play an animation. And for X amount of time we're locking player movement. So basically setting one of the inputs. But like that doesn't mean there isn't a physics engine. It just means that we're not doing anything with the physics engine. And we're running running a set animation. Yeah.
Essentially, you're watching a movie at that point.
But we're doing, yeah, it's
We're engaging the flyers.
the
To answer your question, Kara, I was talking about the Arkham series of Batman.
if you're playing an animation over a sprite, it's not necessarily like if you're locking all of the player movement so that you know you can do this punch, right? That's just a different style of handling. Like it's just instead of running a check for if hitbox matches, like play if like if you did if X is pressed through first punch animation and project hitbox, then you'll have the character's sprite either be moved away and replaced with the one that'll do it when you have or be part of the same sprite. But it's still attached to the physics engine. And then if the projected hitbox collides with anything, then another animation will play on the thing it collided. But we're still like attached to a physics engine.
The Batman character would actually not interact and just go through objects.
Well,
that's because he has to move to the new starting animation point.
So okay, when you say that, is he like actually like when the animation is over, do you stay in the same place as you were when you started?
No.
So then
it's trying to move you to the start position of the new animation, essentially.
So yeah, then they don't, it's not then it's actually more of a physics engine, and they're moving the actual physics object for the animation.
The animation has a specific XYZ position, and so they just basically like take the character and fly him over to the correct place. This also tends to break their animation system, though.
So, okay, is it taking? So when you punch someone, the physics object teleports to another location.
The physical model just like flies to that location at super fast speed to the starting point of the new animation.
So they have. That doesn't make any sense. Why would you ever code it like that?
Yeah, it was the most unnerving thing for me ever. And so when people go, "Oh, Gotham Knight had bad fighting stuff," I'm like, but it doesn't have any of this teleportation nonsense that all the Dark Knight games had. That
So
really bothered me.
When you punch someone, you go to like an identical map, and then
When they get attacked, monsters will pour out of the nest all at once.
you go to like an identical map that has I don't understand why would you have to teleport?
Because the starting animation has a specific XYZ relative position to the first animation. And the animation for whatever reason, needs to get into that new position.
So you have, so like animation first punch has, so animation first punch takes place at coordinate like A, right? And so whenever you do animation first punch, you have to move the physics object.
Yeah. This particularly happens during like long combos. Because the game lacks any kind of dynamic animation whatsoever.
So, okay, what you're ascribing to dynamic animation is not dynamic animation. It's just an animation that isn't tied. Like, the problem here is that the physics object is tied to the animation. Not that the, like the model and the physics object are both tied to each other, to the point where if you move the animation model, the physics object will also move, and they didn't code, they didn't make it so that if you they just didn't code a way for it to ask your current position. It's not a dynamic animation. That's just coding it for you. That's just like leaving out a line of code that asks for your position.
Essentially what they ended up doing is essentially like launching a static animation that has a particular required relative position that is required for the next set of animations. And I don't know, it's a really dumb way of doing it.
Okay, wait. So, are you saying like, okay, for like a combo that has, you know, like Batman moves forward for like his third punch, right? That's when he teleports? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, to get into the new animation for the next combo.
Okay, so
And it's
again,
not
it's not a thing about not having dynamic positions or like dynamic animations or whatever. That's leaving out a line of code that asks for your position before you update it.
Well, it's because the animation is not designed to be ran from the position that particular combo ended in.
Yeah, it's leaving out a line of code that's designed.
But generally, the game basically just like hits play. It plays the 3D model animation that was like made, and it has no particular backing to what's happening. If that makes sense.
Again, that's not a physics engine thing. That's not a dynamic animation thing. There's a line
Well, a
of
dynamic
code.
animation is would allow for the animation to more to get into position for that static animation.
Well, the problem is that's what's happening. The problem is that it is moving the physics.
I know, but it's an almost teleport to the next position.
Well, it is just a teleport.
In a dynamic animation, it would create the necessary animations. The game does to get
It's
you
not.
from
No,
that
it wouldn't
position to the
create
next.
them. It would run. It would run another. Like, it would look in the asset tag and go, what animation is this calling for? It's not creating a new animation. It's running a animation.
I'm trying to explain it the way the Uncharted devs explain dynamic animation, so I apologize.
I think.
I feel like animation and a physics engine are two different things. And just because someone animates something in a very weird way, that doesn't mean something doesn't have a physics engine.
It means that combat system is not interacting with the physics engine at all.
The
That's
because
fine.
you're going through buildings, you're going through objects. You're
Okay,
just no
you said
longer
it's not-
bound by reality.
You said it's not interacting with the physics engine. That means there is a physics engine.
well,
It's just
it
not the-
also
It makes me
could go
wonder.
in-
It makes you wonder if it has physics. This is what I was getting.
Well,
So you're saying that because you're confused about whether or not a game has a physics engine, that means it doesn't have a physics engine, and that no game has
Almost as if it doesn't have a physics engine.
Okay, wait.
That's what
Calm down. Calm down. All right, we're good. Okay, we can figure this out.
I'm having a
Not
great
that
time.
It doesn't have a physics engine, nor that the animation is not interacting with the physics engine, because it is.
well,
The
it's
way
not,
it's interacting with the physics
not
engine,
colliding with anything.
the way that it's interacting with the physics engine is just by updating the positional variable. So it's the problem is that you're not doing any checks. There's no checks or balances. The physics engine is designed to effectively be checks and balances to ensure you're not going through things. What this is doing is when this animation plays is just updating the positional variable, which will effectively bypass all of the checks and balances that the physics engine has in place. So when third punch animation plays, instead of saying we're applying momentum or whatever, we're going in and we're saying position equals position plus 100.
Wait, Rampage, can we reset? I didn't realize that this mission was not underground because I selected all my weapons before you came back to the thing and the mission changed. So I don't have, yeah. Thank you.
So it's not that it's not interacting with the physics engine. It's that you're just changing the positional variable.
Well, it's the same thing as if you had taken the animations and played them, right? Because like you have these animations you make for the models, and that's usually what the game engine is doing. It is calling this animation and playing it, right?
Yeah.
But it gets confused because the next animation requires a certain relative position from the first one, and it's not there because I couldn't tell you why, but I guess they just didn't create any animations, any good animations to get you in position for the new combo that they set up. Which
Yeah,
is
so it
bad.
teleports you. It takes the position variable and it updates it so that the game can continue its animation.
So it kind of creates this weird thing where sometimes Batman's legs are just kind of in this kind of crouched animation flying and just kind of going everywhere, and like his body is just going through people. It's funny.
So yeah, I mean the thing there's what's happened there is the model for Batman has detached. It's like offset from the physics object, and so the model is having a bunch of interaction that the physics object is not. And the physics object is gonna most likely have a bunch of, like, you'll probably, if that happens, I would assume you would just, like, run into a wall before your model reaches the wall, because the model and the physics object are separated, which is going to cause a lot of problems. But that doesn't mean the physics engine isn't there. It just means that all of the ways to notice what the physics engine is doing are offset, so it doesn't look like it's doing anything. But it's still there.
Those are flying organisms known as haze.
By the way, they changed my shot. Normally with my my stun copter, I don't have a scope for it. I have to like free aim it. This stun copter has a scope. It's kind of weird. I believe in you, Kara. Go for it.
But yeah, generally, the models aren't themselves going to be... Like, you can make it so the models are the physics objects, but a lot of the time, you don't have to. Like, Portal has models, and, like, the Portal model and the physics object are two very different things.
That was definitely pushing Havoc.
But
and
the model, like, it still has, the model doesn't have a physics engine. No, it does not. The model is just a thing used to play animations and be visual. But there is an object attached to the model that is for the purposes of the physics.
I'm just seeing this beautiful little tentacle monster grab onto the fence. I was like, oh.
This is
Why
so much
the
worse
mission-
than the high mobility droid.
Yeah, why on the mission where I unlocked Phobos Plan 4 is it just squid guys in the sky?
Yeah, we should have
Well, it's because of what you said to EDF that you wanted more squid in your life.
I explicitly said that I didn't understand why there was squid, not that I wanted more squid.
No, it's very sure you wanted more squid.
I don't understand the squid, just like how I don't understand how asking a question about whether or not a game has a physics engine makes it so every single game doesn't have a physics engine and it's just animation.
Well, a lot of games do rely on like for example, when a person dies, it's a scripted canned animation that plays.
It has an animation.
Yeah.
Okay. It's an animation.
Again,
and it has
though,
a
with that, DK, it's not. The animation is being played, but there's still a physics object there, right? If there wasn't a physics object there, the death animation would take place at the location. It would take place at wherever the base model is. When the death animation is played, the game asks, "Hey, where is the physics object right now? Where is the character supposed to be?" And then takes that information and moves the death model.
It's usually based on relative position. Ah, this is terrible. Why is this like this? Ow.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
I mean, that relative position is gonna be the relative position is just.
I don't know if I want to be alive anymore in this world. Jeez.
The relative position is just going to be where is physics object relative to 0, 0. Like, that's the only relativity that's there.
I approve of this bombing round, by the way.
Yippee. That's fair. Wait. Oh, I can finally see things. There's no building. I'm going to die.
That's not too surprising.
Oh my, that is a very large squid thing. Well, no, wait, no. It's just really, really close to me, and I could not tell.
It wants to be your friend. Also, yeah, they're inking the sky, which is crazy.
Yeah, when they go over.
I believe in the power of 4 life benders at the same time. Rampage, if you want healing, you should stand next to this.
This will probably be mine. Now that the discussion has happened.
Now that we've determined that a game has a physics engine. I don't like these guys. Why do they block my entire screen with their very, very close bodies and giant ink clouds when they die? Also, why do they look so silly?
I like things that look silly.
Yeah, but why do they look so silly? I thought...
The dot went away, but I think it was just covered by another dot.
I did not kill it, GK killed it.
Oh.
Sorry. Wasn't I supposed to kill it?
Okay.
I think
good.
I basically just threw 2 shock things on it and let God sort it all out.
That does not seem like... Okay.
I'm sorry, that's a line from a video game.
I threw 2 shock things on it and let God sort it out?
Well, it was like, kill everyone and let God sort them out. That's the actual reference. I was leaning into it without actually using it.
Yeah.
I have little shocks.
They're very silly.
They have stabby things. They like
No.
They like jump away when one of them dies.
They make me very sad.
Just move.
I thought that...
Don't worry, I'm also sad.
What are these other... Did you find ones that are colored red and that they do way more damage and also,
they have by the way, you're about to be visited by a much larger group of them.
Oh yeah.
I hope you wanted more squid.
I didn't.
Oh, Rampage, they're coming for you.
I'm running away to the power of a grave.
I feel like I'm the only one here who can actually run.
I mean, I can. It's just very slow and I'll die.
I brought the wrong equipment to fight these and sent large.
I did not expect to fight them at all.
I would have brought like a gigacopter to fight these things.
That would be funny.
I brought a sword.
Yeah, I don't know how that's working out.
But I bring my sword to everything, so...
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I'll just need more universally good equipment.
I think Phobos and 4 is
I didn't
universally
bring
good.
AoE. These things need AoE. I just didn't... I've been bringing my, like, long-range kit only.
And
just
I
don't think it's
stupidly
worth
brought
it.
a machine gun with me as well. That's definitely not the right option.
There's more of them. Oh,
They're always sad.
obviously.
I don't have to be sad because I'm already dead.
I used all my life benders to just see how fast I could heal. But then I realized, because I thought the mission would be over, but the mission was in fact not over. And now I'm sad.
Well, I have health vendors if you want them.
Ooh, they'll help me.
Yes, there are. Okay, Rampage. My Phobos is charged up. If you can group all of them together, and then we do one really, really good bombing.
I would put this
But that sounds way less fun, and also, kinda slow. Okay, fine. I guess you just hate fun.
Well, the problem is the ones that it's not gonna hit are the ones really high up, and those are the ones I can't fight. So, it's,
Well, yeah, that's why you just gotta tank there for a while, until they all decide to come down to you.
They keep shooting up in the air just to mock her.
They do. Also, the turning on this grape is really bad. Like, I don't understand how it can be going full speed sideways when all of my tires are driving. Yeah, I am going to blame the physics engine because this game has it.
You can specifically blame Havoc.
Like, these tires have zero grip somehow. That's not how tires work. They should not be able to slide this much.
Okay, you might want to blame the developers and the physics engine combined.
you
That-
really
I
only
feel-
design the developers.
I
Yeah.
blame the devs because I think they think it's funny that the tires do that.
It is funny, but it's just very annoying.
And these devs seem to go, it's funny, let's do that.
I mean, they did invent the speed star, so I think they can be cut and slashed.
It's like, haha, that would be funny.
Like, I turned my grape a full, like, 270 degrees, and I'm driving, and I'm going the same direction, and there's no slowing down. It's just
I
not
just
how
watched you drive by, I'm like, bye, Carol.
I'm just driving on these roads. I have no goal except for to stay alive in case Rampage dies.
That's why you're driving around.
Yeah, I'm not trying to kill anything. I'm
You're
just
the backup in case I make food or mistake and
I just don't want to lose this.
You don't want to
Carol, if you
restart?
want,
Why
you
not?
could revive, you could revive me, and I'll like summon helicopter, and we'll have helicopter strike.
Ooh, but I feel like those things will outfly a helicopter. Because those things are not very mobile.
The helicopter is weirdly dodgy, and also it can fly higher than they can.
Can it?
I was hoping to.
Alright, I only have 3 on me now.
I mean, I don't see any on me, but I think some are trying to chase me, they're just failing.
I'm gonna skip this one.
That's reasonable. There aren't very many.
It's also a lot easier to see them after I wait a bit. Than killing the massive horde. Because like I looking up for like a long time was just looking into darkness.
I drew my grape into a river. Very bad things just occurred.
Ah.
It's fine. There's nothing on me.
Watching that thing float by actually like.
Don't kill me. Why is there a bombing on it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't look at me. Apparently, Kuro is bombing me.
Yeah, you guys don't like you.
I'm upset, Kuro.
I managed to do 0 damage. Oh wait, actually, a single bomb hit. Let's go.
It hit me.
Okay, that's what I. Wait, this thing does a lot more damage than I thought it did. If that was half, it did 630 damage. That means it does
Kill the last one.
1,200 something damage, or 1,300 something damage, which is pretty good.
We have no data on the areas that the evolved enemy ships are dropping out on the ground. Wait,
Rampage, I'm gonna hit you with my car if you stop moving.
it's in the air.
Actually, that's a lie.
What are you saying?
You stay still. I forgot how weird the pushing is in cars.
Blame the physics engine and the developers who implemented it. Oh, I got Heavy Bomber Phobos Plan 4.
I got that last mission. We're gonna have a great day.
I don't think I'd use it though.
I also got a new rapier.
I'll leave Kuro to use it because I know he will use it well and wisely.
Yes. I
Just
use
like-
it the way that benefits me the most.
Sounds terrible.
Cry about it.
In whatever way will annoy
No,
Rampage the most.
benefits me the most. Sometimes that might include annoying Rampage. Keyword sometimes,
Keywords.
but not all the time.
Well, we played 10 missions.
Well, I wonder why that happened.
I like remember so little of like 90% of the missions we played.
The entire time I was here, wait, the second I joined, DK was talking about physics engines. And the entire time I was here, that's all we talked about.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I think he was hilarious.
See, this is all part of the great plan, is to bring up a good conversation piece so we can have a good and healthy discussion.
Yeah.
I don't.
And
We didn't learn
as,
anything,
as I
except-
just autopilot the game. I guess we'll have to do that a lot when I eventually get enough time for us to do EDF 5.
Oh, yeah, did you
Because
say we were
that'll
gonna
be
do
a
that?
long
I'll
haul.
with like more like controversial conversations to bring up. There we go.
Okay, did you say we were gonna do that like 5 months
You're
ago?
gonna make me political. No. Alright.
Yes, here we go. Perfect, ready for a political thing. Do you prefer straws that are big? Do you prefer straws that are small? Or do you prefer paper straws?
I
Ever
prefer.
say
Okay,
paper?
I have a great story. So, a while ago, I went to Japan, and it was pretty neat, you know. And on like the last day of the trip, we went to a conveyor sushi restaurant because we'd never done something like that. And I ordered this like ginger ale with mango in it, and it was pretty good. And then it came with this straw that was like a super thick straw, like it was really wide, and it was like maybe double the radius of the other straw. And so then I took this plastic straw home from Japan, and I use it all the time. And it's this really great straw that's like double the diameter. It's just so much better.
So I guess we have
Real
Kara's
bitch.
answer then.
I like really wide straws. The only problem I have is it's kind of short. Like it's maybe like 70% the length, I guess. But other than that, it's a great straw.
What do you think, Nick?
You know, I think that this is an odd-looking Lego piece, and I'm a little curious why it's here.
What?
I think it's Perry the Platypus.
I think it might actually be Perry the Lego piece.
Oh. Oh, that's genius. Yeah.
I'm gonna look back in the stream and see how long.
Okay. Well, I'll be back. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed. If you have, so like, subscribe, and hopefully, we don't go till 9 next time. 'Cause I want dinner. So yeah.